Yeah, you're damn right. Here we go on a Friday. Happy high noon, y'all. Welcome to Polymax Particles. I'm very happy to be here today. I'm in a great mood. Creative Tony's right alongside me. We're ready to rock and roll. Now, Creative Tony, I say good morning or good afternoon to you. Good midday to you, sir. And I feel like I'm so happy that we're going to advance the whole concept of high noon right here on Polymax Particles, because that's the whole concept of high noon. That's a tradition that goes back some years. You gave birth to the high noon concept when I was working with Rod Brooks on the Ticket 1050. Shout out Darren Chan. He was right there producing as well. And then we would all retreat to 25th Avenue. Shout out 25th Avenue. Grab a burrito at Gordo's and then get over to Creative Tony's apartment. Shout out Tedder as well, Tony's old roommate. That was my favorite guy. And there was always weird stuff going on at Creative Tony's apartment on 25th Avenue. We'd sit down, we'd watch Half Baked. We used to listen to comedy albums. We'd all be laughing our asses off. But then I remember, Tony, like your landlord would come wandering in, like some lady. It was like a whole commune scene you had going over there. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, that was Dave, who lived upstairs, man. He kind of was the building manager, and he had a naked bong Sunday as well. And so he would it was like, if you've ever seen the movie Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock, our apartment was kind of set up like that, where all the windows kind of looked into each other, and he used to just kind of celebrate Sundays by announcing that to the group. And also shout out Trader Sam's, man, out in the neighborhood,
right bar,
25th and Geary. You go in there and you get the Scorpion Bowl. Okay, if you're gonna, don't mess around, just get the Scorpion Bowl, and they top it off with champagne, man. So it's outrageous. But we used to have high noons there after our Friday show, which was the best.
Yeah, so now we're going to kind of drop that whole concept right here into the new show, Polymax Particles. And again, I want to start today by thanking everybody. In fact, let me trigger my comment section, Tony. Let me activate. Oh, look at you guys. You're already here. I love this. Thank you so much. Shout out Nathan. Shout out Michael Norris, Bradley84. I see all you guys. I got a guy over here called Senior Softball Games. Beautiful. Whatever. Christian Narek back in the house. Shout out Rags. And I know Rags comes in now. He's the other side of the Dwight Clark catch. He's the other side of that coin. My buddy in Jersey, Rags, he's a monster Dallas Cowboy fan, and our friendship has survived that for 30, 40 plus years, whatever it's been with Rags. But anyway, shout out Rags. And today is a happy catch day to all you Niner fans out there, and in the memory of Dwight Clark. Creative Tony and I can speak to not only like the impact that game and that moment had on us and our lives, but I can also say, like, I'm still kind of, it's hard for me to wrap my head around this, but I became friends with Dwight Clark. I got to know him over the years. And if you never got a chance to meet Dwight, I can promise you he was as cool as he seemed. Like, he was like one of the nicest guys. Hey, Paulie Mac, man, how you doing? He had that South Carolina kind of drawl thing. Ladies love DC. We know that, Dwight Clark. I mean, he would walk in the room, ladies start swooning. And God bless his soul. He was a sweet guy, and I miss Dwight a lot. And today's the big the catch day, Tony. Where was Creative Tony on 1/10/82 when I know you were a young kid at that time, but what was your like whole scenario with your parents? I know your dad's a big Niner fan. What was going on?
My dad at the game. I was at home in San Mateo watching the game and going bonkers. And it's, the young 49er memories for me. I was 9 years old and just like cemented in my head that day. And people want to talk about the DC. I want to give shout out to Matt May. I think it was Mayoko and Murph who did the book Letters to 87.
Yeah,
check
great
that book out too. I mean, man, that book. Well, that's an emotional ride you should take. But that game, man, and somebody on Twitter, I got to find out who it was, but shout out to them too, who said, "Hey, don't forget Eric Wright's tackle of Drew Pearson after the catch, right?" At midfield. It's kind of saving the day as well, right? So
yeah.
I mean, what a day, man. 1982, January 10th, 1982. I literally was like the play in franchise history. And then it just began the journey.
Yeah, and it kind of was like the announcement of the arrival of the San Francisco 49ers, because until that time, that was not a team you would see like on national TV. You wouldn't see Niner games.
No.
And a lot of people were really still getting to know Joe Montana that year. Like, who is this guy? This guy's beating the Cowboys? What the hell? And then, of course, going on to beat the Bengals in Super Bowl 16. So happy catch day. God bless Dwight Clark. I love the guy. I still miss him. Creative Tony, we got a lot to sort through today on a high noon installment of Paulie Mac Particles. I want to talk about the Notre Dame win a little bit last night. We're going to do our hot and sour picks live on the air today. So
yes.
I hope you've sharpened your pencil and all your skills are ready to rock, because we're going to do our playoff preview and the hot and sour picks. We'll do them live today. Yes, Creative Tony.
Yeah, P, I want to talk about the reason why they're called hot and sour, by the way. I want to explain this real quick. And by the way, shout out Nathan Hyatt, dude. Yes, Gordo's on Clement and Geary. I've been eating Gordo's burritos literally since my freshman year in high school, when my buddy, who was a senior, took me off campus and said, I'm taking you to have a great burrito.
Well, now here's the philosophical dilemma that we all have to deal with when we go out to that part of San Francisco, which might be my favorite neighborhood or favorite district in the whole city, is the Richmond, because I lived in the Richmond for a long time, and that's the one part of the city that still hasn't really changed too much. For the worse. Like you want old San Francisco, head out to the Richmond, you can find it. So Creative Tony, here's a spiritual dilemma. I'm out at 25th Avenue. We're getting our high noon on, and Creative Tony goes, guys, we're going to Trader Sam's for scorpion bowls. I go, whoa, hang on. Because now you're talking Gordo's burritos. You got to at least be able to mention and shout out and give the props they deserve to Tommy's, also located in that same little alleyway there of all that Richmond goodness. Because Tommy's has been serving up not only the margaritas since the 70s, but they got some of the, I think it's El Salvadorian, actually. People confuse that with Mexican, but I think it's El Salvadorian food, and it is phenomenal. It's a staple of San Francisco. Yeah.
Tommy's was literally right across the street from Trader Sam's, and family owned, by the way. Tommy's Mexican, and you could join the tequila club at Tommy's. So, and I think they had like over 100 tequilas that you could sample and sip and taste. And every time you went in there, you'd mark off you took a shot of a different tequila, and then bam, you were in. And then of course you got like, I think, free margaritas. And by the way, they make the margaritas fresh squeezed lime. They're not pouring any of this pre-made margarita mix into your margarita. It's fresh squeezed limes right in front of you, and then you dive in to the margaritas at Tommy's. Man, incredible joint. Go ahead.
I can't confirm this because I didn't see it with my own eyes, but I've heard through the grapevine that Sammy Hagar used to hang out at Tommy's and enjoy the margaritas because he's like a big tequila. In fact, Sammy's got his own tequila. I think it's called Cabo Wabo, and I think that that's probably why. I think he had like a big tequila party. They started stocking Sammy's tequila, so now you got Sammy Hagar, a presence of the Red Rocker over at Tommy's as well.
Dude, Cabo Wabo down in Cabo San Lucas. Have you ever been?
Have not.
Oh, outrageous spot. I'll shout out to The Office too in Cabo San Lucas for anybody who's been down to Cabo San Lucas, man. My God, what a spot. But Paulie, we got to talk NFL. We got to talk Notre. Did you watch that Notre Dame Penn State game last night?
I did. It was a great. I did, and I'm so glad it lived up to the hype. Like, they delivered a really great back and forth college football game, and that's all you can hope for. Like, if you don't have a horse in that race, like if you didn't go to Notre Dame, you didn't go to Penn State, the best thing you can do is hope for a good competitive 4-quarter game. And that's pretty much what we got. I felt like it could have gone either way. It was one of those games where whoever's got the ball at the end of the fourth quarter is probably going to be in a position to win. And that's what happened. Notre Dame pulled it off. So I'm happy for Notre Dame. Shout out Bobby Fitzgerald, one of our favorite Notre Dame alumni. We got a lot of Niner ties, obviously, with BY, Bryant Young, and Joe Montana, and on it goes. But like, I'm happy for Notre Dame. It's been a while since they've been in the national championship stage. And tonight you got Texas, Ohio State. You got any feeling about this game, Creative Tony? You want to let out your, which way is the wind blowing for you on this game?
I'm going Texas Longhorns. You know, shout out to alma mater Kyle Shanahan, the Hook'em Horns. And I love the city of Austin. And I don't have any like personal ties to Texas or Ohio State, really. I just know that Ohio State is, you know, the horseshoe, and they're just such a powerhouse football program that, and I know Texas has been as well. So, but I would love to see a Notre Dame Texas final. Would be pretty sweet. I have a question for you, by the way, and also I want to shout out Estimated Eyes in the comment section.
I see him too. Estimated Eyes.
Estimated Eyes. You've been on fire, by the way. Thank you, man. And the limes, I don't know if they're locally sourced at Tommy's, because he said, but are the limes locally sourced? So he commented on talking about Tommy's margaritas, but I would venture a guess that they are locally sourced. So, but hey, so back to that game last night with Notre Dame. I have a question for you, P. Do you think that was pass interference at the end of that game when Penn State threw that pick? And I mean, I was because I was pulling for Notre Dame, and I'm like, okay, how do you make that call? I just
Well,
don't know how you make that call, because that was pretty ticky-tack in my book.
It was. No, it really was. Now, they say according to the letter of the law, he didn't turn and play the ball. He bumped the man, and that's why they threw the flag. But I'm with you 1,000,000%. I thought it was a horse-ass call at that point in the game. You can't come out here throwing flags in that kind of situation. Man, let the kids determine the winner, man, not the stripes. So I hated the call. I hated it. I thought it was dog-s, horse-s, whatever kind of S you want to qualify it as. That's where it belongs. But it worked out for Notre Dame. It worked out in the long run. I'm kind of an open book tonight, Tony. I feel like I could go either way. Texas, Ohio State, whatever. I'm probably going to wind up rooting for Notre Dame in the national championship game. Now, Creative Tony, we got a great slate of football games, but before we go there, before we deliver our hot and sour picks, I want to do something. I want to tie up a couple of loose ends here. From the week, because we've had a variety of topics like already getting kind of thrown on the table, and a lot of people have a lot to say about a lot of stuff. So let me start
real quick. I want to tell a story after your loose ends. I want to tell a Fitz-related Notre Dame story. Bob Fitzgerald.
Oh, dude, I hope it involves a fighting Irishman at the bottom of his pool. That's all I can say, because that's a true story. We have actual visual confirmation at the bottom of. And by the way, of course, Bob has a swimming pool. By the way, how many people in the Bay Area have swimming pools? Bob Fitzgerald.
Yeah, let's just dive into it real quick before your loose ends, because shout out Matt Kolsky, who moved back to Chicago, but he still does local radio from time to time. Matt Kolsky has been on KNBR, has been on 95.7.
Go ahead, Tony.
Love Kolsky, just one of the greatest human beings ever. By the way, his Christmas card was outrageously phenomenal. Anyways, he was house sitting Bob Fitzgerald's house while Fitz was on the road for a couple weeks.
Shout out Bobby Fitz. Yeah.
So Kolsky texts me, says, "Hey, you want to come over for a swim?" And, I said, "Sure, man, I'll come over for a swim." I bring the kids and I walk in, and there it is, man, at the bottom of his pool. Yeah. The big ass Notre Dame logo. And I said, that is amazing. Amazing. I loved it. It was.
I've been to a party. I've never seen a Notre Dame Fighting Irish logo, but I have been to a party up in Nevada. One of my friends, Brian Connors, one of his buddies, he has this big spread up in Nevada. He's got a swimming pool in the backyard. Hired that band, Jerry's Middle Finger, to play this private party a couple of summers ago. They were great. Nice. They play all Garcia band. It was killer. But anyway, at the bottom of this guy's pool, this guy's name is Ken. Shout out, Ken. How you doing, man? At the bottom of Ken's pool, he's got a giant steal your face, which I got to admit looks pretty badass. Like, it's a Grateful Dead swimming pool. So that was awesome. Now, loose ends, here they come. One loose end I want to tie up. Tony threw this out there. We didn't have time to really dive into it in a proper fashion, but you were talking about greatest afros in sports, because I mentioned Gary Carter, and you were like, "Oh, dude, he's got the greatest afro." So a couple other kind of loose ends I want to put together here real quick. P1 Chuck, one of our great listeners and viewers, and he's been with us the whole time. P1 Chuck goes, "Guys, you're talking greatest sports afros. Don't forget about Don Sutton of the LA Dodgers." And Chuck is 1,000,000% right. And you mentioned Matt Kolsky. I'll go ahead and throw Matt Kolsky on the table, having one of the great sports talk radio afros of all time.
Tom Tolbert used to have a great kind of curly. I don't know if it wasn't a perm.
No,
it was more just like a natural curls growing out. I also got a shout out like Buddy Bell. Do you remember Buddy Bell back in the day?
I do. Yeah,
he had a nice perm, and then it was also somebody for the Oakland A's, and I can't remember who. And I'm going to look it up while you're talking.
Okay,
because it was an Oakland A. Was it Mike Norris? I'll find it.
You'll find it. Okay, find it. We'll delve into the afros and perms. And then also, Tony, I wanted to say, we talked about Colonels yesterday with KNBR Murph. And shout out Brian Murphy for joining us yesterday. That was great. We're going to bring in more special guests next week. And we're really just getting the show started. We don't even have the soundboard set up yet, but that's coming. It's coming. Yep. We're building this thing as we go. So stand by. The soundboard's on the way. Thank you, Brian Murphy, for joining us. But we talked about greatest Colonels yesterday. Colonels in sports, Colonel Sanders, whatever. My buddy Drutzy checked in today. He goes, "Guys, how dare you not mention Colonel Les Claypool and the Fearless Flying Frog Brigade?" This is a band I've seen with Drutzy. And let me tell you, if you're looking for like a weird night out, you want to go out and get weird, maybe get your mind blown, maybe get freaked out and scared running for the door, go to any given Les Claypool gig and you're in for a hell of a ride. Dude, I got to tell you the truth. Sometimes those Claypool gigs can be tough to survive. Because, like, by the time you get deep in the second set, you got ladies in princess gowns dancing on stage. You got wizards. I got Les Claypool with a pig hat on with like eyes that are lit up looking at the crowd. It's a freak show. You've seen Les, right, Tony?
I've seen Les multiple times. I've seen him put on a pig mask.
That's what I'm saying.
Walk out on stage. It's unbelievable. I've also seen him I feel like Les purposely wants to mess with you. By the way, shout out Nate Christensen in the comment section. He says, what about Colonel Klink from Hogan's Heroes, dude? Come on. That's like a classic Colonel. And you and Murph are trying to do the Colonel Mount Rushmore. I thought about Claypool, mentioning Claypool. It did cross my mind yesterday.
Yeah.
Thanks to Drutzy for the suggestion.
Yeah.
Sometimes I didn't know if Murph would want to go down the scary road of Les Claypool.
I don't think Murph wants anything to do with the Fearless Flying Frog Brigade gig. I really don't. I'm not sure he would survive the first set. I think Murph would run for the door probably 2-3 songs in. It's not for everybody, and it's not for the faint of heart. If you're looking for like 3-minute pop songs, you're at the wrong gig because Les ain't giving you that. By the way, I want to shout out NorCal Refrigeration and HVAC. It's a high-end reference he's making on the comments line. He goes, if the old KMBR crew was Oliver Stone's platoon, who were the heads? Now, Tony, the heads were the guys that were hanging out in the hippie tent. Like Charlie Sheen was in there. Forrest Whitaker was in there. They were burning ganj, having a good time, listening to Motown. And then you had Kevin Dillon in the other tent. He was the alcohol guy. You had the beer guys and you had the heads. And the heads were the pot smokers. Creative Tony, real quickly, if you had to assemble the heads department from KMBR, who would be in the heads tent? Go ahead.
Jeez, that's a loaded question. You have to put Murph in there, right?
Well, Murph's going in. I don't care if he doesn't want to go. We're going to push him in there, and then you're in there. I'm in there. Any other name? I mean, I don't want to expose anybody's. I'd say this. I'll say this. You know what, man? NorCal Refrigeration. Use your imagination. Your instincts are probably right. Tony, one more loose end to tie up, and then we're going to proceed with the hot and sour picks. I realized after the show on Wednesday, which was our debut premiere show, and we thanked a lot of people that helped get us to this point to do the show, whether it was DJ Rob B and my buddy Winks and all these different people who have kind of helped us out, get us over the finish line there to start the show. You know, we forgot to shout out, and I feel bad about it, and I want to give this kid his love. Shout out Jake Montero. Jake Montero. We forgot to mention him the other day. This is a kid we worked with at KMBR. In fact, when they showed me the door last year, Jake was right behind me. They're like, yeah, you're going too, Jake, so grab your stuff. So Jake was really a big part of the early stages of getting this whole thing together and getting it off the ground. In fact, he helped design the layout for the logo. He designed the a lot of the art direction that you're going to see on the show was provided by Jake Montero, who is now, I believe, working alongside Alex Simon at SF Gate, but he's a great kid. Here's all you need to know about Jake Montero. He was like a behind the scenes guy doing digital work, but Creative Tony, I remember one time, like he said, I said, like, Jake, how would you describe yourself? And he goes, well, I look like John Mayer, but I'm more handsome than that. And I was like, you know what? I freaking love this kid. So yeah, Jake Montero, I just wanted to give him his propers, as they say, Tony, because
Jake rules.
He helped us out a lot. Yeah.
Rules to the high heavens. By the way, shout out Mark Graves, having Tom Tolbert drinking Pliny the Elder as one of the heads. I mean, come on. Thanks, Mark, for the comment. And also Santa Cruz Roots saying Waterboy and Cubs on the KMBR of the KMBR younger generation as part of the heads. Fantastic. I mean, P, any more loose ends you got before we keep moving?
The only other loose end I would say, because the comments are so strong and there's so many of them, I feel like next week we're going to have to develop a specific kind of show feature so we can delve deeper into the comments, start to interact with these guys, because I'm getting high-end stuff. There's Uncle Leo. He's checking in. I got
hello.
Yes. Totally. Take the pen. Creative Tony. Actually, no, that was Jack Klompus. That wasn't Uncle Leo.
Jack Klompus,
I confused my Seinfeld cast. Creative Tony, Dean G checking in real quick, and then we'll proceed to hot and sour picks. But Dean G checking in, going, guys, 1 hour isn't enough. Your response to that, Creative Tony, the floor is yours.
I'll take more than an hour, but we've talked about this a few times now. Like, I agree, but also, the way content is consumed now, it feels like. I don't know. We'll go, and then when we don't have a boss anymore, which is freaking phenomenal. Like the liberating feeling of just being able to kind of speak and not be under
Well, you don't want
other.
to be you want to be criticized for every reference you make, and like, why did you
Right.
say that? What's he talking about? Why is he in the room? And it's like, yeah, well, you don't miss that. Are you kidding, dude?
And if
No,
only, yeah, just being told what to say and what you can and can't say, and you know who you just got to be very careful. Or
by the way,
walking on eggshells.
you know what I always got a kick of, man, in working in traditional radio is all the people that are telling you what you should and shouldn't say on the air. These are people that have no effing idea how to do a show on the air, but yet they're going to go ahead and tell me how I should be operating. I'm like, bro, let me ask you a question. If I put you on the air for an hour, how entertaining would you be? Let me answer that for you. You wouldn't be, because you have no sense of style, you have no delivery, you have no timing, you have no content, you have no riffs. That's all that needs to be said about that. All right, Creative Tony.
Hey, I want to share something real quick, just because we have a commenter named Uncle Leo. Can I just do that real quick?
Whatever you want.
I mean, come on. Come on, man. It's one of the classic characters of Seinfeld. I'm a Seinfeld junkie.
Yeah,
I love it. So just wanted to get a little Uncle Leo in the mix,
especially on High Noon. And by the way, if you want to go ahead and start your Friday happy hour while you're enjoying High Noon, I'd encourage you to do that. I'm all about bad behavior, as you know, Tony. I encourage the bad behavior, or at least naughty behavior. So if no one's looking, go ahead, roll one up, have a drink, whatever you want to do. Enjoy High Noon.
You mentioned naughty behavior. I want to also start. You're going to start seeing on social media the hashtag PMP, right? For Paulie Max Particles.
Look at you.
You made me think of Naughty by Nature, right?
Hell yeah.
With PMP,
you know me. Yeah.
Exactly. So keep your eyes out for hashtag PMP.
Hey,
it's obviously not OPP, and we don't need to get into what OPP means. But we're going to get down with PMP in the future.
I'm 100% down with that. And let me fortify my Jersey credentials a little more, because Naughty by Nature guys are from New Jersey. They're from East Orange. Tough neighborhood, by the way. You don't go rolling into East Orange looking for a latte. No, you definitely don't. But,
what was the guy's name? The lead guy?
Tretch. That's my guy, Tretch.
Tretch. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Tretch,
right.
actually, Tretch had a small cameo on The Sopranos. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah.
This day in 1999, episode 1 of The Sopranos was it made its debut. How about that for an anniversary?
Still my favorite show. In fact, what's wild is right now on HBO, they're doing like a Sopranos marathon. So it was like one after going through all the seasons, dude. So if you feel like ODing on The Sopranos, flip on HBO right now. You're in for a treat. No, it's still my favorite show of all time. Creative Tony, I think it's time that we delve into the first ever live installment of the Hot and Sour Picks. Now, I want to thank everybody for responding to the videos we posted all year. We the whole football season, Creative Tony and I were giving you our picks on Friday. If you didn't see the videos, go to Paulie's Pod on Twitter, and you can check out the ones we've logged to this point. But today, we're going to go ahead and do it live. Now, Creative Tony, I think I want you to start the picks today. And we'll each do 2 games. So you pick 2, I'll pick 2. And I should say, all kidding aside, we actually had a pretty good year, man. Do you have our numbers?
I do. First of all, I'm going to give a shout out to one of my favorite sound bites of all time. When you said we're doing the Hot and Sour Picks live, I'm going to say, we'll do it live. Things sucks. We'll do it live. Okay.
We'll do it live. Shout out Bill O'Reilly. If you've never heard Bill O'Reilly losing his effing mind, when you're done with this podcast today, but not before, because I want you guys with me. But when you're done with the particles today, get over to YouTube and enter Bill O'Reilly Meltdown and enjoy. It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
He goes, we'll do it live. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know what this means. We'll do it live.
Yelling at his producers. Yeah.
But also, so all season long, Paulie would make 2 picks. I would make 1 pick per week. We ended up 35-17, a combined 35-17 overall for the season.
I'll take it. That's not bad. We did pretty well.
If we were betting money behind our picks, we'd be doing okay right now.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. I bet you if we involved real currency, we'd probably be losing every game. That's the thing.
Probably.
It's only like the gods are letting us get away with this because we're not gambling actual money. But maybe some people are gambling on the picks that we make. I don't know. But if you were smart enough to go ahead and follow our lead, you had a pretty good year because we won a lot of games.
Totally, man. And I don't know. I feel like now it's where the proof is in the pudding, man, because now these picks are a little more difficult because there's some great matchups this weekend. And think about it. Last night started a 5-day span of football because we've got Texas, Ohio State tonight.
Yeah.
And then we've got wild card weekend. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I love this time of year, and that's why I'm battling a minor depression that the Niners aren't in the postseason right now.
I mean, yeah.
Granted, we've been accustomed, like, my poor son Dom, who's like used to seeing the Niners in the playoffs. He's like, Dad, what do we do? And I'm like, well, we get on the Lions bandwagon, or you find a team that you want to root for, and you go.
That's right. That's what you do. That's exactly right. Yeah. So now we got.
I didn't explain, Paulie, one more time. I went to say this earlier. I didn't mean to cut you off, buddy, but I was going to explain earlier why we call them the hot and sour picks.
Okay, go ahead.
Because we did the first ever hot and sour picks in San Francisco at, shout out, the great restaurant, the House of Nanking.
I'm all about Nanking, dude. All about Nanking.
They have their hot and sour soup is unbelievable. It's so good. Actually, everything on the menu is fantastic.
Yeah.
But Paulie and I were enjoying a big ass bowl of hot and sour soup. And then Paulie said, this is what we got to call the picks. You just got to call them the hot and sour picks.
Hot and sour picks. Yeah.
Shout out House of Nanking. If you're ever in San Francisco, look it up. Go to House of Nanking. There's pictures of who's the actor there? Come on. God, the bass player actor, Keanu Reeves. There's pictures of Keanu Reeves all over the place in the walls of Nanking. He frequents a House of Nanking. So anyway,
shout out Keanu Reeves, and my favorite Keanu Reeves role has got to be Point Break, where he's right alongside Gary Busey. Dude, it's all about Busey in that movie. You can watch Point Break, dude. You just bow down to the greatness of Busey. There's one scene when they're like making Busey do like some swimming test with the police force. They throw a brick in the pool, and they say, Busey, blindfold yourself, get to the bottom of that pool, and bring me the brick. And dude, watching Busey go shirtless with the gut flapping around and the blindfold, and he dives in sideways, it's as good as art gets. And but Keanu in that movie, you have to go down. It has to be this way, Bodie. Dude, he's like it's unbelievable. But no, House of Nanking is the best. In fact, I brought my guy Brian in Jersey. Shout out Brian Narek. I know you're out there. I saw you on the comments line. I brought him a t-shirt from House of Nanking so he can rep House of Nanking 3 miles away on the East Coast. Nice. Yeah. So we got representation on both coasts. Now, Creative Tony, you've stalled
real
long
quick.
enough. Oh,
Real quick.
A lot of stalling techniques. You're burning me out here. What do you got?
If you bring up Gary Busey, dude, I have to ask real quick.
Okay.
Would you take Busey in Point Break, or would you take Busey in Lethal Weapon as Mr. Joshua?
I'm going Busey in Point Break, and I'll tell you why. Because the Busey that you come in, Mr. Joshua, now you're involved in electroshock and water torture. Yes. It's like that's a little too dark for me. I want my Busey with a twinkle in his eye. I want my Busey going, hey, Utah, get me 2. That's the Busey I'm looking for. Reading Calvin and Hobbes while they're robbing banks across the street. That's my Busey.
Great knowledge, dude.
Yeah. No, I'm like a black belt on Point Break. I'm like a black belt. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, by the way, Spy versus Spy. When is Tom Tolbert coming on with us? Tom Tolbert will be coming on very soon. Coming on the show. I just wanted to get that comment in. Thanks for asking. Spy versus Spy. We will have Tommy on the show very soon. We've been talking to Tommy. He's going to get his own thing going here real soon too. So we're very excited for Tom's future. So
absolutely,
go for it, P.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more guests joining us on the show. Again, this is only our 3rd installment, man. We're just getting this thing off the ground. So bear with us for real. Like while we improve the audio quality, while we improve the visuals, we'll get the soundboard happening. We'll get back to doing song parodies. We just got a lot in front of us, and we're trying to get it all done at once and continue to do shows in the meantime. So Tony, there's no more stalling tactics.
Nope.
The floor is yours. You got 2 hot and sour picks to deliver. Let's get it going.
Okay, so are we going to go 1 and 1, or do you want my 2 picks and then your 2 picks?
I think you go 2 and 2. You go 2, I go 2. Yeah.
Utah, give me 2.
Utah, give me 2. Exactly on high noon. Exactly.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan Hyatt, for the shout out of Busey. Okay. I picked the home dogs a lot this season, the home underdogs, but usually in the playoffs, the home teams are not the underdogs, so that's not the case this year. In the playoffs, but I do like the visiting dogs of the Washington Commanders at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, you like Jalen. I like Jalen too. He's exciting to watch, that kid. Yeah,
I like McLaurin too. Like there's something they have, that young, I don't give a crap vibe. We're gonna come in here to F you up, and I feel like Washington has like that this like kind of energy where I wouldn't want to be facing them. Like imagine if the Niners were facing them this weekend, would you feel like really super confident that the Niners were going to roll?
No, it's kind of how I felt going into the Niner Lions playoff game last year, and my nerves and my instincts were correct because the Detroit jumped all over the Niners in the first half of that game.
Right.
And so no, I know exactly the feeling you're talking about. It's a hot young team on a roll. They're in the playoffs. There's a lot of excitement around them. They're playing the Tampa Bay Bucks, so it sounds like you're leaning Washington.
I'm leaning Washington. I'm like it. They're getting 3 points, right? And so I just feel like they're playing good ball. Jaden Daniels 3,568 passing yards on the season, 25 TDs. Man, I mean, also Jaden Daniels 891 rushing yards. Terry McLaurin 1,096 receiving yards. Like, those are some good numbers, man, and they've got a decent squad. I feel like they could go into Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is playing some good ball too. I think it's gonna be a really good game, but I think it could come down to those 3 points, right?
All right.
So I'm liking that. I think Brian Robinson could have a good game. So I'm liking Washington +3 as my first pick. Okay, second pick. I don't feel as confident about this just because of Sam Darnold's ability to throw some picks when he wants to throw some picks.
Go ahead.
For a goof, he just wants to throw some picks.
Right.
But I'm gonna take Vikings at LA, which is now at Arizona.
Glendale. Yeah, they moved the game. Yeah.
And by the way, everybody, if you just a quick diversion, if you can just look up American Red Cross or you just stay tuned or keep searching for ways to help the people down in Los Angeles in the Pacific Palisades area. I mean, yes, there's news of celebrities losing homes, and that gets, I don't know, for me, that gets a little old. But there's also just a lot of just people that aren't in the public eye that lost their homes and lost everything. So if there's a way you can contribute and help them out, I know American Red Cross is one of the organizations, but there will be other efforts as well. But I wanted to say that real quick. But Vikings -3 at Arizona. I mean, at LA, which will be in Arizona. I like the Vikings. I feel like Darnold will rise up for this game. And I just don't know about LA. And I feel like if the Vikings, whose defense is pretty good, if they can get to Stafford, then they'll win, I would say by 10. But if you give Stafford any time, that's when he's dangerous, So
all right, Tony. All right. Listen,
Vikings -3 and get JJ in the mix, get Hawkinson in the mix, Jordan Addison in the mix, Aaron Jones in the mix. I mean, I feel like the Vikings could do some damage.
Wow, that's like the most serious take I've ever heard you deliver. It was like said with a straight face and facts and figures. You were throwing stats at me. It was almost like too professional for this show. You're making me nervous now. Like I gotta step my game up because I'm coming at you with no stats. I'm coming at you with gut feelings across the board. But that's worked for me this season, so I'm not changing my approach at this point. First game I want to look at, I believe, is the first game of the weekend. I think this might be. Yeah, this will be. Yes, this will be the opening game of the entire playoff weekend. I'm talking about the Los Angeles Chargers going down to Texas, taking on the Houston Texans. The Texans are getting 3 points. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, Tony, I like the Chargers in this game, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I love their quarterback. I love Justin Herbert. I still kind of maintain an argument that he might be the most talented quarterback in the entire NFL. He just hasn't had the greatest team around him in previous years, and his O-line has been spotty. But here comes Jim Harbaugh. Jim, dude, say what you want to say about Harbaugh. As crazy as he is, and as many run-ins as we had with him on the Murph and Max show, because we used to have a weekly hit with him. It was like a car crash every week. But he gets it done, man. He got it done in Michigan. He put the Niners in the Super Bowl. He goes down to take over the Chargers. Bam, they're in the playoffs. So respect to Coach Harbaugh. They posted an 11-6 record. They're pretty good on the road. They're 5-3 on the road. 5-3 record for the Houston Texans at home in the meantime, and they have a 10-7 record. Isn't it wild that the team with the worst record is actually hosting this game? But that's because the Chargers are in the Chiefs division, which, I mean, believe me, next week, dude, I get the flamethrower out for the Chiefs because I'm not a Chiefs fan. More on that next week.
What's the Andy Reid commercial? What is it? A fumble-rooski.
Oh,
man.
Andy Reid, you're making me not like you. You're
I
making me not like
know
you.
it bums me out because I've always liked Reed, but it's I don't know.
Enough
Man.
is how much can I take, dude? I see you, Taylor Swift. Great. What do you want from me? I mean, the Kelsey brothers, Mahomes. I've had it. I've OD'd on all of them. I've had it.
Same.
I do want to shout out the Houston Texans a little bit, though, because they have a great young quarterback, too. He's fun to watch. And also, shout out to their linebacker, Henry To'oTo'o. Tony, this is a kid that played high school football with my kid over at De La Salle a couple of years ago. One day, they were recruiting Henry To'oTo'o big time. In fact, Harbaugh came in. Harbaugh apparently went to every class with him the day that he was on campus at De La Salle trying to recruit him. And then my kid James sent me a picture. He took a cell phone shot of Nick Saban.
What do you mean he went to every class with them? Like into his class?
That's correct. Jim Harbaugh shadowed Henry To'oTo'o the entire day. Sat in his biology class. I'm not kidding. And but then my kid got all wound up because he's like, Dad, Nick Saban's here. Nick Nick Saban got him because he played his college ball down in Alabama. Actually, first I think he went to Tennessee first. But then he transferred over to Alabama, and now he's a linebacker for the Texans. So I got to shout him out.
Nico Collins, dude, for the Texans is a stud. I mean, he's a hell of a player.
I don't know. A lot of people probably didn't pay attention to this, but the Chargers had quietly one of the best defenses in the entire league this year. Yes. They played great defense. So it's tough to score on the Chargers. I'm going to take them. I'm taking the Chargers. I'm taking Herbert. I'm taking Harbaugh. And I'm going to go ahead and give the Texans the 3 points. My second pick of the weekend, Tony, will be a Sunday game. It's your 10 a.m. kickoff where the Denver Broncos are going up to Buffalo, taking on the Buffalo Bills. There's a big spread in this game. The Broncos are getting 9 points. But let me ask you a question. Do you see Bo Nix rolling up in the Buffalo and getting his first playoff win on the road? Hell no. Dude.
No.
I think that the MVP discussion this year, Lamar's getting a lot of talk, and he deserves that. But also, I think Josh Allen deserves a lot of consideration this year for MVP of the league. He's had a phenomenal season. The Bills are 13-4. I got news for you, Denver. Buffalo has not lost at home this year. They won every game at home. I see this as like an impossible task for the Broncos to go in. Now, the 9 points, that is a big spread. But you've seen how things can snowball. Dude, look what they did to the Niners up there about a month ago. That was one of the worst Niner games I've seen in ages. They got dominated on both sides of the ball for 4 quarters. It was ugly in the snow. So to me, this is kind of an easy one. I know it's a lot of points, but I think this thing could get out of control up there. I could see Buffalo winning this game by 2 touchdowns, to be honest with you. So take the Bills. And it's a feel-good story, dude. Maybe the Bills will be the team to knock out Patty Mahomes and his merry band of NFL referees he likes to run around with. Because I'm saying go Bills in advance in anticipation of – that's the matchup I think we'd all like to see, right? The Bills and the Chiefs getting it on. But in the meantime, take Buffalo over Denver. The hot and sour picks are now in the book, and they've now been recorded live for the first time ever, Creative Tony.
Yeah, I love it, P. Also, I look out for the Ravens in the postseason too, man. They've been looking
always
really
kind of stumbled around, though. I know.
Yeah, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. My goodness, man, what a 1-2 punch they are. I would love to see a Lions-Bills Super Bowl. Shout out Firebaugh, California, the hometown of Josh Allen, in the Central Valley. That's near Shannon Kaler of the Stone Foxes. By the way, Stone Foxes, I got their shirt on today. Shannon Kaler grew up very close to Firebaugh in the little town of Toll House, California. By the way,
that's unbelievable. I want to go to Toll House someday. We should go to Toll House someday and do like a remote broadcast from the town where Kaler grew up. See where he gets all of this stuff from. It sounds like some mythical land that might not even exist. I can't guarantee it's a real place.
Well, it's like romanticized with the Toll House cookies, and chocolate chips that I grew up on baking in the oven. Remember?
Well, I thought the Keebler elves were handling that up in the woods. They had the elves in the trees and stuff making cookies, didn't they? The Keebler elves. They had elves up there getting it done.
See, now that goes to something for me, Paulie. That I think so many things are created maybe under the influence of extracurriculars. Like, who came up with let's have the Keebler elves, right?
I'd say it's probably a guy like you or me or Eyes Estimated in the comments line, probably after a long night of token at your local cantina. He came home and goes like, dude, we'll put elves in the trees, man. And it probably made a lot of sense at that point. But here I am still talking about him. So it was a successful ad campaign.
No question. Yeah. And I want to know also, are you going Chargers in just to preserve the memory of Dan Fouts and Wes Chandler and
Kellen Winslow?
Kellen Winslow and James Brooks and those.
Shout out
Charger
Chuck Muncie with the goggles, dude.
Muncie with the goggles.
Muncie
with the goggles.
Muncie.
I should say part of the reason why I like Minnesota also is because the purple one, right? The vibes and the energy that Prince left in the town of Minnesota and Paisley Park. I will get to Paisley Park one of these days.
I'd like to go too. Would you believe me if I told you I actually had Prince on vinyl on my turntable last night? I was listening to Prince.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Always a rewarding journey diving into some Prince music.
Dude, speaking of turntables, I had a great morning this morning spinning some records on the turntable, and Paulie gave me a record over the holidays from the band Fish. They put out this flatbed jam, and just bear with me real quick, people, is that Fish at a festival a long time ago at night after their second set, they rented a flatbed truck, and they didn't tell the fans they were doing this because it was a camping festival. So everybody was camping out in their tents near the stage. And they got on a flatbed truck and with all their gear and drove through the campground playing like kind of ambient mellow music. And so they put that on vinyl, and Paul, they got it for me on vinyl. And I'm listening to it this morning, and I hear Trey Anastasio, the lead singer, saying, I guess somebody ran out of their tent and was running alongside the flatbed truck. And you can hear Trey saying, "Hey, man, it'd be really helpful if you could just not run along with us."
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Creative Tony doing Trey Anastasio on the air. I've never heard that before. I like that.
He's such a mellow, he's such a courteous
mellow fellow.
Mellow fellow.
Yeah,
so.
I love the redheaded Italians too. You don't get many of those redheaded Italians, but he's one of them. You know what else I like about Trey? I like about Trey Anastasio that he's like a Vermont hippie, but now he lives on the Upper West Side of New York City, which I think is super cool. I just like that he lives in New York. Creative Tony, clock is ticking. There's a lot going on, a lot to get to before we reach the finish line. So I want to know if you are ready to present a new feature. And speaking of new feature, a quick teaser for next week. I promise you guys, see right now, dude, this is why I want to say, I want to get a proper segment of the show where we can delve into these commenters. I just looked over. I got Spy versus Spy saying, guys, you want to talk stoner concepts? Papa Smurf was hella stoned on the Smurfs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, those guys, the Smurfs, that's a whole other conversation for another day. Naomi wants to know which Prince album. I went right to the source, Naomi. I went to Purple Rain. I did side one, and I actually didn't complete it. I was doing it while I was cooking dinner. I had side one on, flipped it over for side two, got my Doves Cry, and I got my I Would Die For You, but then I had to stop because it was dinner time. So
you make it to the song Purple Rain.
I didn't. By the way, did you know this about I found this out fairly recently, but apparently the story of that song, Purple Rain. Are you ready for this? This is mind-blowing.
Go.
They had their gear set up, and they were ready to this was like a brand new song that Prince had written, Purple Rain. And he brings it to the band. They rehearse it once. Apparently, this is how the story goes. And then Prince said, "All right, guys, turn the tapes on. We're going to record it right now." So the version of Purple Rain that is recorded and preserved forever on the album, that was the first time the band played the song in its entirety. How insane! Yeah, how insane is that? It was recorded. It was recorded live with no overdubs, and that was the first time the band had played it as a unit live, and boom, it's on the record. So they caught lightning in a bottle on that. And one of the when I was a kid, Tony, when I was going to proms and stuff like that back in the day, you would get Purple Rain as like the slow dance. That was like the slow dance part. It was so great. I mean, like, I don't know what the kids getting today. What are you getting today for your slow dance? Young Thug or something? Like, I mean, Lil Wayne? I don't know.
Also, if you download the album Purple Rain on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you listen to your music, by the way, go buy the record too, or buy the CD or whatever. Buy the music to support artists, obviously. But if you're going to download music, there are versions of Purple Rain of the album where there's extended versions, right?
Yeah.
And time out. Senior softball games. Can we get a Mother Hips joiner? He just asked on the comment section.
Sure.
Absolutely. Sure. Sorry, I just got sidetracked, but Mother Hips, great band. I just saw them in Half Moon Bay like a month ago, and they were fantastic.
Didn't we have Tim Bloom on the podcast once?
Yes, we did have
Tim Bloom.
Yeah, Tim's a big Giants fan. Yeah?
He's a monster Giant fan, too. Yeah. In fact, I hung out with him and my boy Jeff at a Giants game once. Yeah, so we're definitely talking mother hips. And my guy Brian Eric saying, by the way, if you want to talk stoners and cartoons, you got to shout out Jokey Smurf, constantly giggling, a dead giveaway. He's definitely a burner, says Brian, and I probably agree with that. So Creative Tony, I have a new feature I want to drop today. Next week, we'll dive deep with you guys on the comments line.
Sure.
I'm having a great time with this reading along today. But Tony, for the first time in Polymac Particle history, we're going to present the particle pick of the day. Now, the concept here is Tony or myself will come to the show maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, and we'll give you the particle pick of the day, which is anything that brings you joy or improves your life in some way, or you think other people might enjoy. So now I don't know if you've built a proper open. Do we have anything to
Paulie,
announce?
I have an open real quick, but you need to vamp for a second because I got to get my particle pick. It's really just right next to me. Hang on one second.
Go ahead and grab your particle pick. And while he's doing that, I'm going to grab my particle pick. Now, again, this will be no surprise to people that are familiar with the Polymac stylings of the past. But for my first particle pick, actually, no, let me wait for Tony because I want him to play the intro music. And if there is an intro, I think he made an intro for the particle pick of the day. Creative Tony, well, wait till he throws the head. Do you have a proper open that you can unleash yours before we dive into this?
Yeah, stand by, buddy. Stand by.
I can't wait to hear this. I've never heard. I don't know what he's got up his sleeve here. Give it to me.
Here we go.
All right.
Me? Come on. Oh man.
What are you
Stand by.
doing?
You got...
Okay. I don't know what you're doing. Yeah. Got a first ever production
right
meltdown. Yeah, you're working. Producing live on the air.
Yeah, that's because it's like we're getting used to this new interface, and it's
We are. I got to be honest. We are. We're totally kind of blind guys in a room feeling around for the light switch. Great, Tony. Is there any way you can lower this level a little bit? Would that be
lowering as we speak? It's so there's something. It's pausing it instead of restarting it right now, P. So stand by, and I will start it in a few seconds when it ends, and then we'll figure out how to not have it pause in the middle of it and have it just restart instead.
Okay. Well, I have my particle pick. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
All right, here we go. Here we go. And here we go.
Two.
Stand by. Stand by.
Take two. Okay.
Particles.
Okay. All right. So what's that?
Go.
That's like the new intro.
Yeah, there it is. Just to play on the word particles.
Fine with me, man. Fine with me. I think you're going to have to lower this or kill the bit. Yeah, thank you. There you go. Much more comfortable. So, Creative Tony, my first particle pick of the day is also connected to our first show that we launched on Wednesday, where I forget how this even came up, but we started talking about Tom Petty during the first show, and I forget what led us to that, but it could have been anything. We were talking Tom Petty for a minute, and I mentioned that I have a killer Tom Petty live box set where all of the material was recorded at the Fillmore in 1997. So this is that box set. I want to show this thing off today because it's an incredible collection of live music. Here's the cover, very psychedelic. You got Tom Petty. Now, this is when Tom Petty pulled into San Francisco and goes, guys, don't make any plans because I'm doing like 25 gigs here this month. And he basically did a residency at the Fillmore for an entire month. Now, if you're a Tom Petty fan and you don't have this thing, I really encourage you to go check it out. I mean, it's on Spotify. You can listen to the tracks. You can stream them. But this is the kind of record that you want to buy and keep forever. So what it is, and if you look at the back here, Creative Tony, it's got, it's got 6 slabs of vinyl.
Oh, it's
okay,
nuts.
On this bad boy.
It's
so you're
nuts.
you're getting all the hits. You're getting American Girl and Free Fallin' and Refugee and all that. But there's also tons of deep tracks and special guests. He's got Johnny Lee Hooker playing with him, and shout out to Johnny Lee Hooker's bar right across the street, the Boom Boom Room.
Yeah,
rest in peace, Johnny Lee Hooker. You got Roger McGuinn from the Byrds. He covers a couple of Grateful Dead songs on here, and then you get all this cool stuff. And I want to show a couple of these things off because it's just so cool inside the box set. This is Tom Petty. Look at this thing, T. Live at the Fillmore, right?
Nice.
So yeah, and it's like a huge book just documenting the entire
Wasn't that the run where he kept adding shows, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah.
It started off with like 6 nights and it wound up being something like 23 or 24 shows, something like that.
Yeah, he kept adding shows because the demand was there and people kept wanting to come back. And you know what's really cool about that release is all of the stage banter that Petty that's on that record.
Okay, so one of the, speaking of stage banner, there's this great thing
Yeah.
on the first album, on the first record of the collection, where he's like, "Hey, everybody, it's so great to be here at the Fillmore." And he goes, "By the way, we're broadcasting live tonight." I think K-Fog was simulcasting the show. They used to do that back in the day. Can you imagine a band came in that would give you the show for free on the radio? So K-Fog was playing it, and then he goes, "We're also this is 1997." Tom Petty says, "We're also being broadcast live, I'm told, on the internet." Whatever that is. Like Tom Petty didn't even know what the internet was. So one more thing, and I'm going to pass the mic to Creative Tony. Shout out to Beastie Boys. Pass the mic.
I would like to pass the mic.
What up? Oh, Creative Tony. Yeah. So this is like a box of like goodies that you get inside the box set. Let me just show you a couple of mementos they're giving you here. So first of all, they got set lists. Look at this. Set list for the gigs.
Nice.
You can like scroll through these. Yeah, like different shows. And every night was a different set. So you can take a look at that stuff. And then this is really badass stuff. Check this out. You get like a whole collection of Mike Campbell guitar picks that I've never even opened, but these are in here. You got your backstage passes to the Fillmore.
Tom Petty. I love that, man. All the goodies that come with it.
Yeah, no, and then you're not only the goodies are great, but again, you're getting 6 records of Tom Petty greatness, and like it's as good as live music gets. This might be my favorite thing. In fact, I think I'm going to mount this behind me on the wall. Nice. This is a Tom Petty. Look at this thing, T. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Is that a patch?
That's a freaking patch, my man.
Wow.
I might just patch this like on my arm.
That's incredible, man.
I mean, but yeah, look at that thing, dude. Incredible. How about I just come rolling in with that on my jean jacket on the back? So again, this is my particle pick of the day and of the week. It's the Tom Petty box set that we talked about a couple of days ago. I forget how it came up, but it's so worth your time. And to me, it kind of brings me back to a time in San Francisco when the city was just so cool. I mean, Tom Petty could play anywhere in the world, and he's like, "Nah, man, I want to go to San Francisco," and he did. And we were so happy to have him. It was just a great moment in time to be in San Francisco. And I lived in the city at that time, dude, on Baker Street. I would go to the Fillmore. I'd be home in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Like, I just saw Tom Petty. Now I'm in bed. It's 11:15. It was fun times in the city back then.
This is so odd, Paulie, but like I always felt that like Buster Posey was like the Tom Petty of baseball, or the Tom Petty of pro sports, because like just like these humble superstars, right?
Yeah.
Well, Petty was so humble. He was like on stage. He was so mellow. And he was like all about his band, right? And he was all about he didn't want it to be about him. And I always felt that about Buster Posey, that he was, he just never wanted the spotlight, never wanted to didn't really like doing interviews just because. And I felt like Petty was the same way. He just wanted, like the way Buster wanted to just play ball, Petty just wanted to gig. Right?
Let me illustrate an example of Buster Posey not wanting any part of controversy or spotlight. True story. It'll take 10 seconds. Yeah. So back in, I guess this is probably going to be like 2015, 2016, around there. Do you remember when Hunter Strickland beamed Bryce Harper and they got into a fight? Okay. Yeah. So that, in the aftermath of that, Murph and I had a face-to-face interview with Buster Posey, and I think it was at Fan Fest the next year. And Murph brings up that fight, and he goes, "Buster, how did you feel about, Bryce Harper charging the mound and fighting Hunter Strickland?" Tony, Buster Posey was holding a microphone. This was his reaction to that question. Murph goes, what was your involvement in the Strickland brawl with Bryce Harper? Buster Posey goes like this with his mic in his hand. He goes, "Oh." He just dropped his head and didn't say anything. That was his response. Holding the mic, dropped his head. And I'm like, I think we got to move on, Murph. So no, Buster, way in the shadows. And by the way, Buster, go ahead and bring me the polar bear next if you could. I'll take my Pete Alonso at first.
Also, Paulie, do you remember you and I saw the 4-hour Tom Petty documentary in the theater?
That's a great film. Yeah, it's a great film.
Great film. Yeah. And that's what makes you think about Petty like that, because even in his interviews, he's so chill. And he's so, by the way, rocking New Era 84 in the comment section. "Hey, we want some Posey."
Let me hear you say, "Hey." Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Well, Tony, particle pick of the day. Let's get to you, and then we're gonna take it on home. So go ahead.
Yes, and we'll do like a recap too. By the way, just total side note, just because I looked at a note that I wrote earlier.
Go ahead.
Your guy Bobby Sala, interviewed for the D coordinator. So
I'll take him back right now. I'll take them out. I'll drive them over to Giorgio's right now for a slice if that could sweeten the deal, because I want Sala back in San Francisco. I got to be honest.
Love to. Yeah, let's hit that before we say good weekend to everybody. Let's hit that. So, by the way, the particle picks of the day, like Paulie and I just both happened to pick records today, but it could be it could be anything in the future. Right, it could be, I don't know, you're something that Paulie is just really into at the moment, or I'm into at the moment. It could be a favorite. I don't know. I'm looking
at. Could be a bowl of grape nuts in the morning that I want to celebrate. Let's talk grape nuts. Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
Do we need to talk John Denver grape nuts?
I don't think so. Not right now. No. I don't think we got to go down that road. Not right now.
All right, man.
Denver and grape nuts.
So here we go. Like if we were gonna do Tony's top 3 today, which we will do not every day but occasionally. We did it the last couple of days with Murph yesterday and Paulie and I the day before.
I like Tony's top 3. I'm a fan.
Me too. Yeah. But my question would have been to Paulie in the last 6 months, like what was your favorite show that you saw? Like what band, what was your favorite show that you saw? And for me, but the favorite show that I saw in the last 6 months was this band out of Australia called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Okay.
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And just I didn't know what I was going into. I purposely didn't listen to any of their music before the show because I wanted to go in blind and not know. And then I went to shout out the Vinyl Solution in San Mateo on 25th Avenue. I went to my favorite record store. And shout out Tommy Tunes, and he walked me right over to their area, and here it is. This is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and this is, what's the name of this again? It's I always forget it. Nonagon Infinity. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. If you get a chance to see them live, go do it. It's incredible. Okay, and look at this. So look at this right here. This is the band right here. I don't know if you can get a taste of that. Can you see that?
I got it. Sure. I mean, yeah.
There's face paint. There's all kinds of stuff. So I highly recommend King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They have, get this, Paulie, they've made 26 albums, I think, since 2015.
All right, Creative Tony, I got to tell you that you're freezing up quite a bit. We're getting these frozen in time moments with Creative Tony. So it's probably a good time to wrap because we got an hour in the books. You got your particle pick of the day in. And briefly, just for 5 seconds, you asked me about Robert Sala. Do I want him back? Hell yes, I want Sala back. And we'll go way deeper into that next week. But, Tony, I would hit the outro music. We're going to skate on into this weekend. Enjoy the games, dude. Enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy all the games all weekend long. But these are the kind of things that we'll be working on, like making sure that we don't freeze during the broadcast. Ooh, nice. I like the outro music. My favorite bed. Tony's back in real time. I can tell. Yeah, you were frozen. You were back. You were frozen. But I got the gist of your, what is it? King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard?
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Check
when they pull,
out.
I'll tell you what, starting now, like in California on the highway patrol, you get pulled over by Ponch and John. When they give you the sobriety test, forget about walking a straight line. Forget about reciting the ABCs backwards. I'd be like, hey, you know what? Have you been drinking? No, sir, I haven't. Okay, well, then go ahead and say Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard 10 times for me. Let me hear you say that. Because I can't do it sober. I can't even say it once. So I think that should be the new sobriety test in California. I'll campaign for that when I run for mayor at some point. And if I run for mayor, Tony, would I be mayor of San Francisco or San Rafael? Or maybe I'd take care of both towns at once. I don't know.
You're a North Bay guy now, but I think you need to, take that hippie vibe from the city and keep it going up in the North Bay.
Well, you know how like when I forget if it was Trump who did this or Biden or somebody, a lot of presidents, they'll give you like a stimulus check. Hey, here's $1,000, go nuts. Put a deck in your backyard or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like my stimulus check would be a free delivery from Nice Guys up here in Marin. I just send people free treats. You know what I mean? That's my stimulus check. Creative Tony, have a great weekend. You're freezing up a lot, so I'm going to cut the cord on this broadcast and just say goodbye and thank you. And Paulie's Particles, first week is in the books. Thank you so much on the comments line. Creative Tony, I want to say thank you for all your efforts. Have a great weekend. Any closing words?
Just go Commanders, go Vikings, go Chargers, and go. Who was your last pick, Paulie, again?
My last pick was the Chargers and the Buffalo Bills.
And the Bills, yeah, go Bills. And then I want a Bills-Lions Super Bowl. Is that too much to ask?
You want a Bills-Lions Super Bowl, and I want to know what love is, okay, Tony? So go. Yeah, I want to know. know what love is.
I want you to show me.
Exactly. More on that next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you back right here on Monday on Paulie Max Particles. Peace, y'all.